So you want to do your own startup. Hey there, this is Jovan, Hutton, Pulitzer for Tech MOOC. What does it take other than money and a great idea to make your startup successful? Well, money is critical, but there's something even more critical, and it is selecting who will be the right co-founder with you for your tech startup. We're going to talk about this and more right after this.
Welcome to Tech MOOC. What's MOOC? Massive Open Online Courses, and this podcast will give you a massive dose of tech and business savvy. MOOCs from Harvard, MIT, Cambridge and every major university around the globe are the way to stay ahead of the business curve. Your host for this program is Jovan Hutton Pulitzer, the internet pioneer who created Scan to Connect and Scan Commerce. You know, why you're able to scan codes with your mobile device and get information. So let's get started. Here's Jovan.
When it comes to startups, everybody thinks it's about raising the capital, right? Well, there are more important choices you can make when you're funding your startup, and one of the most critical ones are choosing the right people to partner with you. In fact, to be your co-founders, that's critical, and that's why this program today is sponsored by University of London and the London Business School, because they have a course, a MOOC, on how to finance and grow your startup without VC. Have you ever heard that before? Without VC. Well, this program has 5 models that are brought to life by real-world stories of inspiring individuals, people you've heard about like Michael Dell, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, and more. Here are the 5 modules in this course that they teach about this very topic of startup. I want to share them with you before we get into how to choose your right co-founders, because these are just as important. First, you need to understand why you want to take a course like this, because it's critical that you understand not only how to finance, but how to grow your startup. But this module takes a different turn. It talks about why taking venture capital is a bad idea. Did you know there's other models? Module 2 talks about matchmaker models. Module 3 talks about pay in advance models. Module 4 talks about subscription models. And Module 5 talks about scarcity model. Have you heard of this one? This is Module 6, service to product models. And week 7, which is Module 7, is putting a customer-funded model to work in your business. This is a pretty exciting MOOC. You can take it, just go online, look it up. It's from the University of London and the London Business School, and it's called How to Finance and Grow Your Startup Without Venture Capital. Now let's get to the topic of this particular tech MOOC, how to choose the right co-founder for your startup. Believe me, I know that choosing who you do a startup with, whether it's equal in co-founders or founders, or you have people that have maybe a greater bit of ownership than you, or you have a greater ownership than them, it is just like a marriage, and you want to make absolutely sure that your startup does not end in an absolutely horrible divorce. You know, selecting a co-founder is one of the most important decisions you can make in your business. You'll be tied to the person you decide to do this with for many years. And in fact, you'll be, in many ways, attached at the hip. Some say it's just like a marriage. However, you have to make much harder decisions, because rather than a few kids coming out of a marriage, you could end up with dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of employees, and you have to be prepared mentally to deal with it. That's why choosing your co-founders are important, and depending on your startup's focus and your professional background, you might struggle to find someone willing to go into business with you. When we come back after this short break, we're going to talk about the top 7 things you need to know.
Hang tight, Tech MOOC will be right back.
Oh man, the 90s. So cool. Remember this banging tune? Jump on the tram, catch it up. Grab a sandwich, chomp it. My Nancy plays the trumpet. Dun, 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 dun.
We can't totally recall the 90s, like if you had PPI on a loan, credit card or mortgage, for example. Luckily, we don't have to. Many PPI providers now have online checking tools. Search FCA PPI for more info.
Do it now!
Geico presents Unhelpful Home Improvement How-Tos.
A slippery bathroom floor can result in expensive hospital bills. So today, I'll show you how to cushion a serious fall by filling your bathroom with thousands of plastic balls. Just nail a piece of plywood across the doorway and dump in 2,000 multicolored plastic balls.
You could try to protect yourself with a bathroom full of plastic balls, or you could get liability coverage through the Geico Insurance Agency. Visit geico.com and see how affordable renter's insurance can be.
We're back. Here's Jovan with Tech Mook.
Deciding to jump off and create a startup can be a struggle, an emotional struggle. It's the difference between do you have it or do you not have it. It takes a lot to jump in feet first, head first, to try to start a startup. There's always a struggle. What is the business going to be? Who's going to do it with you? How are you going to fund it? And for a lot of people, how are you going to walk away from a guaranteed weekly paycheck working for somebody else to start your own business? This is when the decisions are critical and can affect your entire life. Like I said before the break, your founders that you decide to find if there's a match or create a business with are just like trying to find your mate in life. It is like a marriage, but you'll probably spend a lot more time together. You'll make much harder decisions, and instead of a few kids, you might have dozens, if not hundreds of employees. And depending upon your focus and your mindset and your professional background, it might be a struggle to find someone willing to jump off feet first and many times go checkless to abandon funds and jobs to start a startup with you. That's why the choices you make as a startup are incredibly critical. And one of them is deciding who are you going to hook yourself to? Who are you going to marry yourself to? Who is going to be a co-founder with you? Now, co-founders are different. This is not like an employee. This is somebody you're going to be enmeshed with almost forever, depending upon how your company goes. So you have to choose correctly before you tie the business knot with someone. Here is what Inc. magazine says are the 7 things you need to consider when deciding who is going to be your co-founder with you. You need to define your core value. Start from the very beginning with a well-defined set of cores, and those determine your priorities, your goals, and your decisions you're willing to make. Now, are you a super competitive person? Then you're going to need somebody that's collaborative. Or maybe you're the collaborative person, you're going to need somebody that wants to compete and aggressive. Do you want a work-life balance, or are you thinking about business 24/7? Or maybe your definition of honesty and integrity is completely different than the person you're going to be sitting at the table with. You must focus on your values, and that is where you start. You must complement each other. You got to decide on the trade-offs you're willing to make. People call them anti-values. There are things that you're willing to forego to get to your values, but you've got to understand what they are. Are you willing to give up things like privacy or security? Are you one who it's important to meet deadlines, and are you willing to work late hours and change your personal plans to meet those deadlines? Making these choices up front with your co-founders or the people you're considering to be your co-founders, and defining what your priority are and what sacrifices you're willing to make are critical. You especially have to assess your own strengths and weaknesses. That's number 3. It's a fact of life. We all have strengths and weaknesses. I'm bold, I'm brash, I'm aggressive, and I will ask for the big ticket. But are the people that you're partnering with, do they understand how to develop strategies to leverage those strengths? Or are you just working on mitigating their weaknesses, or they're mitigating your weaknesses? Highly successful people must have this dialed in. They must know where they excel. They must know what makes them struggle. And they should surround themselves in the right environment with the right people. Now, it's tempting sometimes to find a co-founder. It's far better to find somebody who complements you in the right way instead of somebody who's just like you, because it does, in fact, take a village. You have to decide what type of relationship you want to have as well. That's number 4. Are you going to be working side by side every day or checking in once a week? Are you grabbing drinks at the end of the day or having a partner lunch once a month? As long as you're on the same page, either one of them are okay. But if you don't define it, one person may feel like the other's too needy, or the one person who likes to hang out and only check in occasionally, the other partner might think they're just being lax and not paying attention. That's why you have to define these up front before you choose the person. 5th item is, and this can be hard, you got to be able to check their ego at the door, both of you, theirs and yours. One of the tests for a potential co-founder is making sure they can put aside being right in order to do what's best for the partnership. Now, this is key. This means making a decision. You can't avoid things. Avoiding is disastrous. You have to make a decision, but you must make sure that the decisions you make are what's best for the startup or the partnership. And if people can't adjust and acknowledge each other and their skills, it's going to be very difficult to work together over the long haul. Sometimes you're humble, sometimes you're open to new ideas, but you got to be willing to collaborate on decisions that are key to making the startup successful. Number 6, make sure that both of you have the same level of drive and motivation. Now, you don't have to agree to work 80-hour weeks or be in the office till 2 a.m. every day, but you must make sure your co-founders have very close or at least similar commitment levels. Now, if you both have families and want to be home by 5:30 each night, that's fine. Just make sure you agree on it up front. But if you don't agree on it, be prepared for troubles. And number 7, the most important one, is you must discuss how are you going to deal with the adverse circumstances. Every startup will go through tough times. You must in advance talk about fundraising difficulties, cash flow shortfalls, employees leaving or clients leaving, what happens when you have to fire a key employee, whether or not you're going to hire family, best buds, friends, or whatever the case may be. You and your co-founder have to have a strategy for dealing with the tough times to be able to weather the storm. And that's why choosing your co-founders for your startup is truly the place to start working first.
Thanks for being with us here on Tech MOOC. You can find each episode using hashtag TechMOOC or search hashtag Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. Until next time.